The news broadcast of 74% of the people knowing that we're in recession. They feel it when they go shopping. They feel it when they put the nozzle in the gas tank. They feel it when their home fuel bills are registered in the several $100s to fill a 250-gallon tank. They feel it with the truck drivers. What is it costing them? Like $1,000 to fill up on diesel fuel?
And we'll get some calls from them, I'm sure, in about 15 minutes or so with you. Diesel fuel now beyond the price of a gallon of gasoline, Gerald. Absolutely incredible. But how did the bottom fall out, or was it always rotting away?
This thing has been going on since they began this whole interest rate game. I did an op-ed piece for the New York Times. It was right in 1998, after one of those other criminal groups, long-term capital management, a hedge fund, was going under. And all of a sudden, the Fed started lowering interest rates to bail out the big guys. Let anyone get rid of the notion of America being a free market democracy. They just blew their cover with this last bailout. So what they're doing, George, is they keep flooding the economy with cheap money to bail out their friends, and now we have a dollar crisis. It was one of our top trends for 2008. Buy bucks. And now we're looking at the euro going at almost 160 to a dollar. The whole world is bailing out on bucks. Oh, and this is also very important. These clowns on these business channels,
I was just going to tell you that well-known television guy said Friday, after reading an email, some poor guy wrote in and said, Gerald, should I keep my Bear Stearns stock? And that's when it was over $140 or $50 a share. He said on Friday, should I keep my stock? And the television analyst said, keep it. Of course, should I get rid of it? And he said, no, keep it. It's a great buy still.
Exactly. And this is what they're doing. They're misleading the people. So what they're doing is, the market went up. I mean, I have it, we tape all this stuff. And they were saying at the end of the show today, the quote, closing bell, well, the damage wasn't that bad. And then they start going on, what the next thing they start asking, is it over now? Is it over now?
It's beginning.
And they bring in all the experts to say, well, it looks like a capitulation. They didn't see it coming, and now they're saying when it's over. I have to say, this infuriates me. They're talking to me like I'm a 6-year-old kid.
What happens to these 14,000 employees at Bear Stearns?
They're gone, and many, many others to follow. This is only the first of the rumblings of the great collapse that we're going to see in 2008. We're going to go into it's worse than the Depression.
Okay, now bring this home to us, Gerald. Let us understand this a little bit. Here's this huge investment bank that people have been touting for years. It's been around for years. What happened?
They speculated. These are gamblers. All of these exotic things that they've made up. CDOs, SIVs, auction-backed securities. You name it, you make it up. They invented it. That's why they had these Maseratis and homes in the Hamptons. These are dirty deals. This is why, George, I love it. They have this myth in America. You could do it on your own. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and you could make it to the top. They don't tell you, that great Sam Walton, the Walton fortune. Yeah, his father-in-law gave him enough money to begin his first, five and dime store.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that went on here. This is why you send your kid to Princeton, Yale, and Harvard, to get into the club, to get close, to do the dirty deals. These are all deals done within the club. You take these, you know the numbers now. They're finally coming out. They've been leveraging deals, 50 and 60 to 1. No money down, and you could buy a several billion-dollar organization. And they get zillionaires by. Who ever heard of people making $250 million a year for failing companies. And this is what's going on. It's greed at its worst level, and it's now the boil is being pricked, and it's the whole system is falling on top of us. And when the big guys collapse, the man in the street is going to get crushed by it. They're only going to bail out the big guys.
Why didn't this administration know about this or do anything about it? Or did they?
Everybody knew about it. It began really under the Carter years.
All right, that long ago.
Yes, it was the beginning of the breaking down of the Glass-Steagall Act that was put in place during the Great Depression so that these banking bandits wouldn't be getting in the brokerage and other kinds of businesses. Bill Clinton put the final nail in the Glass-Steagall coffin in 1999, and they allowed this criminal activity. Look, when we were growing up, remember all the neighborhood banks? That's why they had these things. They had usury laws that didn't allow this kind of criminal activity. And again, they're going to blame it, and they keep repeating it over and over again. They're blaming this whole thing on the subprime problem and not these hedge funds, derivative funds, buyout firms, and other con artist specialists that are exalted on Wall Street.
Gerald, who's next after Bear Stearns? How many other?
It's going to be a big bank. We're going to look for.
They can't bail them all out, can they?
Excuse me?
They can't bail them all out.
They can't bail anybody out. This is a temporary finger in the dike. And what they did today also, George, there's been massive central bank and global intervention to prop this thing from collapsing. As I said, this was, in every true sense, the St. Patrick's Day massacre. Before the New York markets opened, the markets across the globe collapsed. India down over 6%. The Hang Seng down over 5%. European stocks at 16-month lows. On and on and on. The carnage, this is all being manipulated. Now, when that market opened up this morning, oil prices were almost at $112 a barrel. This thing is being pushed down, suppressed, so that there's not panic in the streets. Did you see this guy Paulson today trying to deliver where everything's under control? Well, folks, if you believe them, the Fed has this under control, then you believe in Katrina quality rescue plans. You believe in Iraq, Afghanistan military skills. You believe in the federal Medicare, Medicaid system, the educational system, and any other thing that the government touches that they're going to bring it to fruition. They can't do it. They don't have the skills. These people are abject failures.
There has been talk, and I've had many guests on the show who have talked about this North American alliance, a tie-in between Mexico, Canada, and the United States, where we come out with the Amero instead of the dollar. Is this also a plan, Gerald, to get that in position?
We don't think so, and I'll tell you why. This is global chaos, George. This is out of control. What they're trying to do in the global marketplaces with these trillions of dollars out there is they're trying, the big guys at the top are trying to have an orderly deflation of the dollar. They want to bail out of their bucks while they're still worth something. So the big guys are trying to make this an orderly pace, whereby they don't get stuck with trillions of worthless dollars.
We're gonna bleed to death. We're going to bleed to death, but they don't want us to die quite quickly, right?
They want to get rid of their money first. Look, when I said this is going to be worse than the Great Depression, consider this. When the Great Depression happened, 20% of people had less homes than we have now. I think it was about 47% of the population compared to 67% had homes. There was no such thing as home equity loans. There was no such thing as credit cards. There was no such thing as a $9 trillion national debt. We had a trade surplus. We now have consumers $14 trillion in debt. Wages are declining, and the market is unraveling.
Hey, Gerald, when we come back, give us a few tips, at least, on how some of us can survive this, and then we'll also open up the phone lines with our